All right. Let's try to see. So I've come to the realization of putting some things together, some historical things that I've noticed. And I was teaching or babysitting at the wellness center when I was a single mom. There was this little boy that came in. It was like he was always throwing stuff and fighting, and it was just, you saw him coming, and you're like, oh no, not him again. And so he came in, and of course, then he started throwing blocks and just causing trouble. And he's 4, and his grandma had come in to do her exercise. She watches him while the mom works. And I said, I'm going to take him out and run him around. It was 9 in the morning, and that's not usual protocol, but I did it. And we ran around. I raced him. I said, let's race, come on. And we ran around the building twice, and then we came in, and he was good as gold. Exercise. His grandma came in, and she got mad at me. She said, his shoes are wet. What's more? Do. I didn't strangle her. I said, I'm sorry, but, we got him outside a little bit. She just didn't get it. She wanted him to be a prim and proper, little kid with his eyes odd. But he was a reckless little boy that needed to go out. And in past generations, there was a lot of farm work. So kids would go to school for a few hours. They come home and do the farm work. And we've gotten a lot more technical. We drive in cars. We take buses. We don't walk to school anymore. We don't ride horses. We get in our car. We have TV. We have Game Boys. We're just a lot less physical. And then we go to school and 45 minutes of gym class, maybe a couple recess things. We want them to sit in desks and do worksheets. And then when we see a kid fidgeting, we're like, oh, he can't do it. He's got to sit here and do these worksheets, or else he's not going to learn anything. And that's not what Sir Ken Robinson is saying at all. And he's like, I had these little connections. I was like, oh, dance is a way to get physical activities. So what if you have a little kid fidgeting and not wanting to sit there? Get him up, get him to move. I mean, our schools, the architecture is built for industrialized education. It's not built to move. These kids are not in classrooms that makes it convenient, like a hamster wheel. I'm not saying that's what we need to do, but a climbing room or, room for them to move around. If you're fidgeting, maybe you don't need medication. Maybe you need to get up and get that energy out. And we need to start thinking like this, because just because you're moving doesn't mean you're not learning. Personally, for me, I do a lot of thinking when I walk. I'll play with different ideas, things like that, try to get ideas together. I'm a different kind of learner than some people. Some people do need to sit at a worksheet and do. Maybe accountants need to do that. They need to have the worksheet in front of them with a calculator. I don't care for that, I'll round it. I'll round to 1,000. My bank account is never exact. But I think the purpose of why I'm making this video is to be aware when that kid's fidgeting and not sitting still, get them up and get them dancing, get them moving, take them outside, let them climb a tree. We are living in a society that it's leisurely in America, in the United States, mostly. We have so much food that we're getting overweight, and then we don't, our choices of food is very easily not healthy. We almost have to reach and grasp and pay a lot more money for healthy foods, which is one reason I want to make my waffles a whole grain that tastes good, but it's healthy and inexpensive. It's a cheap whole grain with good eggs, free range eggs, and they can be dried. The eggs can be dried, and we can move it around. If I work with Bill Gates on this, maybe he'll give us a discount on the whole wheat. It could go, international. We could leave it in places that they're starving is, I think big, but it could. Buttermilk can be dried. So it can be a dried mix. You just add water, oil. You have to add oil. But yeah, these kids need to be moving. If they're fidgeting and not sitting still, first try getting them active. See what that particular child needs. Don't give them medication at first. They're not sick. As Sir Ken Robinson said, they're kids and they're not getting enough activity. They don't go home and roam the neighborhoods. And, I think my ex-husband, he had made a homemade bomb and blew up something. He was roaming the neighborhoods and they got in trouble. I think my dad had gotten on a Caterpillar, one of those big yellow, and they drove that through the neighborhood. Somebody left the key in it. Kids are kids, Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn, they get on the water. They need movement. They don't need medicine, people. They're kids. They're kids, and their brains are active whether or not they're sitting at a desk. And I almost think sitting at a desk can impede thinking if they need to get up. Because if the brain's overriding the system, and I'm not sure, I'm not a doctor, but if they're being what we would say rambunctious or hyperactivity or ADHD, their body's saying they need to get out and move. They just need to get out and move. It doesn't mean they're not going to learn. Please get them out moving. And as Sir Ken Robinson said, let's music and dancing and relaxation, and then go sit down and do something. That's the order. That's the order that needs to happen. We need to feed these bodies and their minds and let them be creative. Let the teachers be creative. Let the teachers bring in some individual ideas that they like. When you go to university and you take a special professor, like I've had so many good professors, they're not all the same. They don't all take the same tests. Our public schools need to go to that too. We need to reward these teachers that are individuals, that bring individual integrity into their classrooms. Let them teach and let them give their own tests. And, standardized tests are good too, but every child is gifted. Find out what the gift of that child is. If they're a welder, if they're a carpenter, a school teacher, a doctor, don't make one child feel lesser than just because they didn't reach some kind of score on some kind of test, because that test is for that child. If you're a doctor, you're going to take a different test than a hairstylist, but I will guarantee you everyone wants a good hairstylist. I think every child is gifted. And so we don't want to say one child is, you're gifted in medicine, or you're gifted in carpentry, or you're a gifted plumber. Where would we be without our plumbers? Why would that child not be gifted? So we need a whole different set of testing. And movement, oh my gosh, no more, hardly any need, no, I would say most 98% don't need medication. The teacher needs to recognize that child needs to get up and move. I saw a Japanese school where they had netting on the roof, and the kids got to go play on the roof, and the netting was made so they couldn't fall off, and they play in the netting. It was like monkeys. Yeah, come on, people. Let's make school fun.